Hi everybody, welcome to Jewell Family Farm. I know I said I wasn't going to make any videos till September, but I found this elderberry bush that's growing wild on my property, and it was hanging full of elderberries. So I thought, well, you know, I'm going to make some elderberry syrup out of it, and so I wanted to kind of make a movie about it or a film about it so you all can see how to make it too. Okay, so if you don't know what elderberries look like if they're growing out in the wild, this is what they look like. Now you got to be really careful. Now you don't want to mistake these for pokeberries or something else. But here's what the leaf looks like. This is what it looks like when it's growing on the bush, and this is what the leaf looks like. And then this is what it looks like when it's growing on the bush. It just kind of looks like, well, it's kind of stuck up and kind of droops down like that, but this is what the elderberry looks like. So you can see that it's got the green stem that runs up. Let me get you in the picture here. It's got the green stem that grows up. This is last year's or the year before maybe growth, and then here's a new growth for last year. I don't know if you can see it or not. Let me see if I can get some of these weeds out of the way. Let me pull these off so you can see what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, this was the growth from last year, and then this is the growth. The purple stem is the growth from this year. So then that's what it looks like. Little teeny tiny. They're just very small little berries. Okay, so then you can take a fork and kind of pull them off like this. If you know, if you want to do it that way, but I just take my hand and just kind of pull them off very gently. Try not to squish them, and just pull them off like that. Now I did start a elderberry bush. I went out to the one that I found out in the woods, and I cut some, you know, pieces off of it, like some of the woody pieces, like this piece right here. I took that off, and I just took all the leaves off, and I put it in some water for a few days, and then I just stuck it down in some dirt. And these little pieces here where I pulled the leaves off at, and it got little nubs on them, I just stuck all that down in some dirt, and it grew roots, and so now I have a really nice elderberry that's growing out in my yard that I planted this summer, and it's doing really good, and it's like up to my waist. So it grows really fast, so you need an area where it can you know, have a lot of room. You know, it kind of grows really big. So I'm just going to finish getting the rest of these elderberries off of this, and then I'll show you what I mix with it to make the syrup. This syrup is really good for colds, and it says that adults can take a spoonful every single day, and then little children, not under 1 year old though. They have to be over 1 year old, because we do put honey in this, and you know, little children can't have honey if they're less than a year old, so they can't have this. But anybody over a year old can have it in a teaspoon a day for little children. Now, I'm not a doctor. This is just an old-timey recipe that people have used for lots of years, you know, just to ward off colds and help you if you have a cold. And so it's kind of a preventative also. You can take a spoonful every day just for a preventative. But anyway, so anyway, let's get started with this. Finish this up. you know, if you need to do what's best for you. And so if this is, you know, I'm not a doctor, like I said, so this is just an old-timey recipe that people's used for years and years and years, and it's supposed to help with that sort of thing, colds and ward off colds and stuff, but you know how that goes. You don't know for sure, but I'm going to make it and take it anyway, but you do what you want to do. Alright, I'm going to work on this, and then once we get it all the berries off of this, I'm going to show you what else we're going to do. Okay, so I have all my berries picked, so I'm just going to wash them and strain them out. Now you're going to have a few little stems in here, and you're going to have like some green ones that weren't all the way right, but that doesn't matter because you're going to strain all this. Okay, so we need to put in 4 cups of water. Go ahead and turn this on. Okay, and then 2 cups of elderberries. Now if you're doing dried elderberries, it calls for 1 cup. But these are fresh, so this is 2 cups of fresh elderberries. Just put that in. Alright, and then it calls for 1/2 cup of honey, and this is honey from our bees. Oh yeah, our bees. I don't think we're going to have any honey this year because our bees swarmed, and then another bunch of bees came in and stole the honey, so I don't know what we're going to do about that. But anyway, it calls for 1/2 cup of honey. Now you can add a cup to it if you want it sweeter, but I think that'd be plenty sweet enough for us. If not, I can always add some more to it, I guess, later on. Once it cooks, I'll see what it tastes like. Alright. So then, let me put this back on. Now, I don't have any fresh ginger. So all I have is, you know, the powdered ginger, and it calls for 1 teaspoon of powdered ginger. I mean of ginger, but if you want to use fresh ginger, that would probably be better. But I don't have that, so that's what we're using today is powdered ginger. Let me move this out of the way. All right, then it calls for some cinnamon sticks. Okay, 1 cinnamon stick. And you can also, or you can use 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Alright, 1 teaspoon of cloves, which I think that's an awful lot. These little things annoy me. I don't like those left on there. So 1 teaspoon of cloves, but I think I'm just going to put 1/2 because 1 teaspoon seems like an awful lot to me. So 1/2 teaspoon of cloves is what I'm putting. Alright, it also calls for 1 tablespoon of rose hips, which I don't have. So we're going to let this come up to a boil. And then we'll turn it down and let it simmer. Get as much of this honey out as I possibly can. I don't waste any of it. Not 1 little drop. It's too hard for the bees to make. All right, I'll let that come up to a boil, and then we'll turn it down and let it simmer. So I want to tell you a little bit about this here elderberry syrup, and I can only tell you what I have read about it, and that it contains antioxidants, antivirals, and vitamins A, fiber, calcium, iron, potassium, vitamin C, and folate. Now I'm going to put this in a jar, and I'm going to put it in my refrigerator, and it'll last up to 3 months if it's sealed tightly. Okay, so and then the dosage that you want to give to the kids over a year old, because of the honey. They cannot have honey from birth to a year old. They have to be over a year old. So 1/2 to 1 teaspoon per day. And adults, it's 1 tablespoon daily, unless you're sick, and then you can have 2 tablespoons per day if you're sick and you're trying to get over something. All right, so that's just a little bit about that. So we're going to let this come up to a boil, and then we'll let it simmer for 45 minutes, and I'll be back. Okay, as you can see, it's come up to a boil. So I'm going to turn this down on probably about 4. As soon as it calms down a little bit, I'm going to put the lid on it and let it simmer for 45 minutes, and I'm going to put my timer on. I'm going to keep my lid tilted just a little bit so it don't overflow. And I'm going to start my timer. Okay. So as soon as that simmers, then we get ready to jar it up. We have to mash it and get all the juice out of it. So I'll show you how to do that, and I'll be back in a minute. So what I've decided to do with some of these elderberries is I put 2 cups of elderberries in this baggie, and I'm going to freeze them because this lasts 3 months in the refrigerator. So that'll take us to, let's see, August, September. That'll take us to October. So come October, maybe even December, I'll pull these berries back out and make another round just to keep us healthy through the winter. And then what I have left of the elderberries, I still got quite a few. I'm going to mix them with some blackberries and make some jam. So that's what I'm going to do with that. Okay, so our syrup has been boiling for 45 minutes. So what I did was I took a piece of cloth, and I only use this for kitchen stuff. So, but that's what I use for a cheesecloth, and it works really good for me. And I just had a bowl, and I put my strainer down in here. And I'm going to put this over top of it, and I'm going to pour this in here and let it drain out. And I'm going to let it cool. I'm going to let it drain and cool for a while before I mash it through the cloth, because it's really hot. So I'm going to let that cool. Before I mash all the goodness through this cloth. Okay, so let's get this finished up. Let's see. I'm going to use my potato masher. I'm going to take this little piece of cinnamon out. I'm just going to mash it through the sieve because it's still kind of hot, and I want to get this done. So this will help cool it off too, and then I can mash it up a little bit better. Alright, let's see if I can handle the heat. Maybe I'll mash it this way. Mashing it out. That's mashing it out pretty good. just about got it all. I think that's about it. Okay. Goodness. Alright, so here's my jar I'm going to use. You can use any kind of jar. You can use a mason jar, but I just thought this was cute, and it's an old-timey jar. As a matter of fact, there was a sticker on it that I pulled off a while ago. It was right here, and it said 1964. So I've had these for a while. My mom gave these to me, so I'm not sure where they came from. I think they came from down Westmoreland County. And that's it. Just put this on there. And that's it. That's how you make elderberry syrup. So this will last me for 3 months. And now, you know, I don't know if you could freeze this, like put it into bags and freeze it. You probably can. I would say you probably could freeze it and then thaw it out and use it at a later date. I'm going to try that with that next batch. Maybe freeze a little bit and see how it turns out. But I'm just going to put this in the refrigerator and keep it in there. And we're going to take a tablespoon of it every day. Hopefully it'll keep us well. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little video on this. I just wanted to make it because the elderberries were in season. And so you can forage for elderberries. I didn't know this elderberry bush was out here. I just happened to come across it either last year or the year before, and so I just kind of kept pruning it a little bit, and it really yielded a lot of elderberries this year. But they do come up wild. Just have to keep an eye out, and they usually come out and start the berries start getting ripe around the same time the blackberries get ripe. So if you keep that in mind and keep an eye out, maybe you'll be able to find them. But please be careful that you don't get them confused with pokeberry. That's what they're called. So don't get them confused with pokeberry. But anyway, I hope you like this video. And tomorrow I'm going to cook the rest of these berries down with some blackberries. I'm going to make some blackberry jam. So if you want to come back tomorrow, I'll try to get that video up tomorrow. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next video. Count your blessings. Bye.